In the winter of 1959, deep inside the frozen Ural Mountains of Russia, a group of 9 experienced hikers set out on what was supposed to be a challenging but ordinary expedition. They were young, they were trained, they were confident. None of them would return. What happened to them on that mountain remains one of the most disturbing unsolved mysteries in human history, a mystery so strange that even the Soviet government admitted it could not explain it. This is the DYATLOV Pass incident. The journey begins. The group was led by Igor Dyatlov, a skilled and respected engineering student. Along with him were 8 other hikers, all in their early 20s, except one older member, Semyon Zolotaryov, a war veteran. These weren't amateurs. Each member had completed multiple extreme expeditions. They knew how to survive in brutal winter conditions. On January 23, 1959, they boarded a train toward the northern Ural region. Their diaries and photographs show smiling faces, jokes, laughter, and confidence. There was no fear, no tension, no sign that anything was wrong. Their goal was to reach Mount Otorten, a difficult but achievable climb. But to reach it, they had to pass through a remote, desolate region avoided by locals, a place known as Kholat-Syakhl, the Mountain of the Dead. In the language of the indigenous Mansi people, Kholat-Syakhl means the Mountain of the Dead. The locals believed the area was cursed. They spoke of strange sounds, sudden storms, and unseen forces. But the hikers dismissed these stories as superstition. They believed in science, logic, preparation. On February 1st, the group set up their final camp on a slope of the mountain. That night, the temperature dropped below -30 degrees Celsius. A violent wind swept across the mountainside. Inside their tent, the hikers cooked, wrote in their journals, and prepared to sleep. That would be the last normal moment of their lives. Something goes terribly wrong. Sometime after midnight, something happened. We don't know what it was, but whatever it was, it terrified them enough to do something completely unthinkable. The hikers cut open their tent from the inside. They did not unzip it. They did not gather supplies. They did not put on shoes. They fled, barefoot, half-dressed, into a freezing blizzard. This detail alone makes the case horrifying. Experienced hikers know that leaving shelter in those conditions means death. Yet all 9 of them ran. The first bodies. When search teams later found the campsite, the tent was still standing. Inside were boots, jackets, food, equipment, everything they needed to survive, left behind. Footprints led away from the tent, calmly walking downhill toward a forest. No signs of panic, no running. Under a tall cedar tree, rescuers found the first 2 bodies. They were almost naked. Their hands were bruised and damaged, as if they had climbed the tree desperately. Small remains of a fire burned beneath them. They had tried to stay alive, but they froze to death. Trying to go back, between the tree and the tent, 3 more bodies were discovered. Igor Dyatlov was among them. They were lying face down in the snow, positioned as if they were crawling back toward the tent. They never made it. One of them had a fractured skull. Another had internal bleeding. These injuries were not caused by freezing. Something had already hurt them badly. The ravine. 2 months later, after the snow began to melt, the final 4 bodies were found in a ravine deeper in the forest. What investigators saw shocked even seasoned professionals. One hiker had ribs crushed inward with the force of a car crash, yet there were no external wounds. Another had a fractured skull of similar severity. And one woman, Lyudmila Dubinina, was missing her tongue, eyes, and part of her lips. There were no signs of animal attack. Medical reports showed these injuries happened before death. Meaning, she was alive when they occurred. Radiation and silence. As if the injuries weren't disturbing enough, investigators found something else. Several pieces of clothing were radioactive, not slightly, significantly. There was no known source of radiation in the area. The hikers carried no radioactive equipment. To this day, no clear explanation exists. Soon after, the Soviet government closed the investigation. Files were classified. Witnesses were silenced. Families were discouraged from asking questions. The official cause of death was listed as an unknown compelling force. Theories, and why none fully work. Over the decades, many theories have emerged. An avalanche? Unlikely. The tent was not buried, and footprints were intact. Military testing? Possible. Secret Soviet weapons were common, but it doesn't explain missing tongues or calm footprints. Infrasound panic caused by wind? Interesting, but it doesn't explain crushed bones or radiation. A wild animal or attack. There were no bite marks, no struggle. Some believe the hikers saw something they weren't meant to see, a strange light, a secret test, or something not yet understood. There is no theory that explains everything. The lingering mystery. Today, the area is officially named DYATLOV Pass in honor of the group's leader. Researchers still travel there. Documentaries are still made. Debates still rage. But the truth remains buried under snow, silence, and fear. The last photos taken by the hikers show smiling faces. They had no idea what was coming. And maybe, whatever happened on that mountain was never meant to be fully understood. Some mysteries don't want answers. They only want to be remembered.